All right, you guys, welcome to another Tuesday Elevate Mastermind. Thank you guys for joining us today. And I hope you guys got a lot of great information last week. I know we talked a lot about open house strategies. MJ, you're killing it with 3 open houses on one day. Let's go. All right, so what we're going to do today, like I'd mentioned before, we're going to do once a month a speaker series. So we have, actually, hold on, let me let 2 more people come in. All right, so we have Tyler Henson. He's from Nashville, Tennessee, and his wife Jackie's on here too. They're a husband and wife team. So you guys, I sent out the bio on Tyler yesterday, but I'll read it real quickly. Tyler Henson is the leader of the Henson team, a high-level service-based real estate team in Middle Tennessee with a strong focus on high-end homes and condos in Nashville and Brentwood. Tyler is one of the top-rated agents in Middle Tennessee. Once a struggling addict, Tyler lived unhoused for over a year from 19 to 20 years old, bouncing around from couch to couch. After several years of battling with pain pill addiction, Tyler surrendered everything over to God and was completely set free. Back on his feet, he found himself years rebuilding his life. He had a good job, a beautiful wife, Jackie, and they were ready to buy their first home together. It was then they both saw how frustrating the real estate experience could be. Never imagining being able to afford a place of their own, he knew he wanted to start the Henson team on a mission to give people the experience he wished he would have had. Since then, Henson team has helped well over 100 people buy and sell homes, over 60 million worth of properties with ease, and has turned Henson team into one of the top real estate teams in the state of Tennessee. Tyler has been awarded the Luxury Home Marketing Specialist designation and has earned spots in the $1 Million Guild, the Keller Williams Luxury Division, and the Keller Williams Sports and Entertainment Division. So, wow. Let's welcome Tyler, guys.
I believe I could probably cut down that bio quite a bit.
Well, like these old eyes are trying to read, and I'm like trying to like open my eyes like, hey. All right. So so Tyler, I met you a few years ago on social media, obviously, and I watch you and Jackie all the time. Their theme is like cookies are for closers, which I love. Jackie like bakes these goodies, and they're just so fun to watch on social media. It's always cool to see other people and learn from them. And I always pick their mind. Like I always ask them questions. And do you still coach with Ryan Serhant?
I do, yeah. Ryan is my mentor. Do coaching with him, and it's been phenomenal. Just learning so much. Of course, from his experience and his at his level. It's pretty crazy.
Speaking of Ryan Serhant, we're not coached by him, but these 2 books, we read them. I was brand new. I'm like, I need to read books and recommend them both. Sell It Like Serhant and Big Money Energy. Good books.
Yeah, they're phenomenal.
Yeah. All right. So I will hand the stage off to you, Tyler.
Well, I'm so happy to be here. Thanks so much, everyone, for joining in. I think lots to talk about. This market is a little weird. Is anybody else feeling how weird this market is?
Yeah.
It seems like a lot of ups and downs. It's like, I don't know, from what I'm seeing, there's a lot of inconsistencies. It's like waves. Like, I don't know, like we'll have this week where like everything is just crazy and busy, and we'll get contract after contract, and it'll just be like dead for several weeks after that, and then we'll struggle to get people to commit to anything. It's like people are so hesitant. But I think a lot of that's kind of individual type of stuff. But there seems to be, some consistency in that inconsistency with the market, from across the country, from what I'm hearing from so many other agents. And so that's the reason why I believe that it's so important that we create as many opportunities as possible in this market. I think that's more important than anything that we could be doing It is that focus on creating opportunities. And that's what I want to talk to you about today, is creating that opportunities. Ryan Serhant says, to have as many balls in the air as possible. But I'm not going to speak directly to that, but really in just creating opportunities, right? Because people are slow to make decisions. Some people are. They're hesitant. And so what we don't want, right, is we don't want to be talking people into buying that are not comfortable buying, right? That's how we lose long-term clients. That's how we lose potential referrals, right? Is pushing someone into something because we don't want just a good year, right? We're going to stay in this thing long-term, right? So it doesn't matter if this isn't our best year yet, right? Because the best years are yet to come, right? And we have to believe that, and we have to steer our business as if that's the truth, right? No matter how good this year, even if we're on track for this year to be our best year ever, we still have to believe that the best is still yet to come. And so all the decisions that we make in our business has to be geared toward that. And has to be focused on that. And what I mean by that is making decisions that are not based off of direct ROI, but are based off of long-term potential, right? And based off of long-term opportunity. One thing that we did, that Jackie and I did when we first really went all in our business, we quit our jobs. We were scared to death, but we knew, things were going to be okay. We came to this perspective that, it doesn't matter if we make less money than we did at our jobs. If we can help people, serve people in this business, love what we do, and work together, and as long as we can pay our bills, right, then we'll be okay. But what we wanted was, we wanted to find a way to feel productive on the days where we didn't produce anything, right? Because as a real estate agent, you can't produce anything. You can't produce something every day. You just can't, right? Things are too long term. They take way too long, for things to happen, right? We're not going to be closing deals every day. We're not going to closing table every day. We're not getting new listings every day. We're not getting things under contract every day. If you are, then I want to learn from you. But that's not, that's not typical. So we had to come up with a way to feel productive every day. And the one thing that we came up with that helped us the most was in creating opportunities every day and putting our focus into that, right? And that was a little bit more qualitative than quantitative. It was a little bit more abstract way to think about things, which is not the typical, right? But we're not so numbers driven. We're not so focused on that. We don't really like to set these lofty goals and then reverse engineer them and say, okay, well, I have to do this much per month or this much per quarter in order to do that. Because like I said, our business doesn't end at the end of this year. It's going to keep going. So what does it matter? What does it matter if we don't have the best year of our lives, if it sets us up 3 years from now, 4 years from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, to have a business that we never imagined was even possible? Right. And that's what we're working towards. That's what we're laying the foundation for every single day, and creating these opportunities. And what I mean by that is that we set our sights on waking up every single day and creating as many opportunities as possible. Right. That was our goal. Today, we're going to create as many opportunities as we can. Right. It means the possibility of opening doors to greater things in our business. Instead of asking ourselves, will this net us a good return? We asked ourselves, will this open up the possibility for more to come? Right. And I'll say that again. Instead of asking ourselves, will this net us an immediate return? We began to ask, will this open up greater opportunities on the other side? Because that's what we're looking at this year. Because gone are the days of multiple offers. I was talking about this with an agent just the other day, that we got to kind of pad our listings a little bit, because everybody wants to negotiate, and people are like, well, don't you want to, price it, kind of low and get multiples? And it's like, that's kind of gone, unless it's a particular area and a particular price point that we know is going to be moving pretty hot. that's just not possible anymore, so we've got to be looking forward, right, rather than looking for right now. And what that means is that we have to be comfortable with the way things are, but open to the possibility of the unimaginable. I know that sounds kind of Disney-ish, but I want to give you a perfect example, right? And this is something that we never would have foreseen. We had the potential for this listing. A friend of mine, he was actually a chiropractor, and I think I actually shared this with Rose a while back, but had this chiropractor friend of mine, and he said, hey, I've got this river lot that I want you to list. Will you list it for me? And I was like, yeah, sure. We'll talk about it. He said, are you going to charge me your normal rate? And I was like, what do you mean? Like, yeah, I'll charge you my normal rate. Like, you're not giving me a discount to crack my back. And he said, no, that's not what I mean. Everybody else, because this property's in the middle of nowhere, and it is a small river lot listing. He said, because it's just a small listing and it's out in the middle of nowhere, everyone wants an additional fee or wants to charge additional rate in order to list it. He said, I'd be happy if you will, help me get this thing moved and just charge me your normal rate. I said, well, of course, it's what we do. We set, our fee is our fee, and, whatever. And again, like, this was a $50,000 piece of property. Most people didn't want it. They wanted a commission percentage or a flat fee in order to go and list this thing, because it was out in the middle of nowhere. It was a small opportunity. At the most, you were going to get maybe $6,000, if that. And it was going to be a lot of work. But instead, what we did is we saw somebody who needed help, who wanted help with their property, and we believed that we were the people for it. And so Jackie and I, my wife and I, we went out. We actually treated this thing like this was $1 million piece of property. We did a video. We did we did some drone footage. We did all these professional photos, and it was actually a really beautiful property. And we pushed it and pushed it and pushed it. And after months and months and months, it didn't sell. It didn't do anything. We got a lot of calls on it. We ended up having to work a lot on this property because everybody called about it, because it was a cheap piece of property and they wanted to ask a bunch of questions, but nobody wanted to commit. Until one day we got a call on it from a family, and they decided they want to go check it out. They didn't need us to go out there with them. It was just land, go check it out. They get there. They're super serious about it. I'm like, finally, we're going to get this thing moved. Like, we really need to sell this thing. And they get out there. The road going into the property is flooded. Like, there's some little river lots along the shore there, and the road coming in, it was like low lying. Anyway, it was like for irrigation, because there was like crops on the other side, but it was totally flooded. Like, they couldn't even get to it. So they called and said, hey, we would really love to look at this property, but we're here and the road's flooded. Anyway, long story short, they did not buy the property. They asked us the next day. They sent us an email like middle of the night, and was like, hey, we got to talking about it, and we don't want to, buy a piece of property and have to wait to build. We want to buy like a river house that's already built. Here's 11 that we found up and down the Tennessee River, which we don't actually cover those areas. Can you help us? Will you show these to us? We'd love to work with you. And we're like, you know what? Let's do it. Let's go for it. And not only did we help them buy a river property, I think it was only $300,000, but we built a relationship with these people, and their friendship would have been enough. They're incredible people. However, we went on to help them buy and sell multiple properties. Within the next 2 years, they bought and sold over $6 million worth of properties with us. Off of that one river lot. I know this is a long walk for a short drink of water, but off of that one river lot is what I want you to understand. That one river lot that nobody wanted, that was $50,000. We ended up meeting this family and helped them buy and sell over $6 million worth of properties. Multiple luxury purchases and listings, helping grandpa move to the area and buy his house. We ended up selling the river house. Like, it was just absolutely insane. And so that's what I mean, is looking for the opportunity that you don't see that's there. You have to look beyond, right? It does require a little bit of faith to look beyond the immediate ROI, because the immediate ROI said that didn't make sense, because the opportunity cost of us going out to that river property, it was a little over an hour from our house. So it's 2 hours round trip. Nothing else was out there. There's no other reason for us to be in that area. And so it put us well away, took our time away, that would eliminate the opportunities for something greater. But we didn't have anything else on the horizon at the time. So we took this opportunity and believed that something greater could come of it. Right. And we started seeing that too. And every time that we would take on a listing, we would get people that would call us, and this is not anything new. This is 101 kind of stuff, but people would call us. The likelihood, I learned very early, the likelihood of that person buying that house, buying that listing I had, was very slim, but the likelihood of them buying a house was very, very good. Right. And so each listing, it became an opportunity, right? Even if it was an undesirable listing, or it was a difficult listing to sell, or maybe it was going to cost so much money and so much time in order to get this listing moved. It's not about that one listing. It's about the bigger picture, because every listing is an opportunity to showcase what you can do. And it's a reason to advertise, other than just posting a picture of yourself and saying, call me if you're ready to buy and sell a property. Most people won't do that. But if they see you moving, they see you taking big steps, creative videos, and listing these properties, that's movement. And people see that movement. They don't know that it never sells if it doesn't. Actually, we never even sold that piece of land. If you want to know the truth about it, never sold it.
Anybody wants to buy a $50,000 lot, it's still
available. It did sell, but we didn't sell it. So we ended up taking off the market after a year. And then about 6 months later, the neighbor wanted to purchase it and bought it directly. And I was okay with it. I'm like, you know what? Like, what happened needed to happen. You came out better on that deal anyway. It's all good, But it's looking for those opportunities, right? Everywhere we go, everything is an opportunity, and everything can be an opportunity for something greater, right? And we have to go into that optimistically and not expecting anything in return, right? It's with all of our connections that we have, all of our friendships, all of the new people that we meet, right? They're not leads. These are actual people. These are relationships, right? And if business comes of them, amazing. If they don't, not a big deal, because that's not our expectation, right? Our hope is for opportunities, but our expectation is just to create those opportunities, right? We're just seed sowers, right? We've got to sow as many seeds as possible if we're ever going to get a harvest, if we're ever going to get any crops to grow. Right. And that's all that we're doing. That's all that we have control over, right? Especially during this market. That's what we have to focus on, is that there are things that are within our control, very little things. Most things are beyond our control. Right. So what we have to focus on and double down on are the things that are within our control. And that's creating those opportunities, right, that I talk about, because opportunities doesn't necessarily come with expectation, right? If that's our goal, if our goal is always just to create those opportunities, then results are not the expectation. Results are just inevitable. It's just a matter of time, right? We don't know when that's going to come to fruition. It could be years, right? But as long as we're sowing those seeds every single day, then eventually we're going to see that. We're going to see that return. And we have to believe that, even if it's long term, even if there's no way that we could connect the two, right? And that's how we're going to be more fulfilled as real estate agents in a difficult market as well, is if we enjoy creating those opportunities and stay optimistic, you know, rather than looking at the deals that we didn't do, look at the deals that are possible down the road because of the actions that we've taken every single day to meet more people, to create new opportunities, to put ourselves out in front of more people, right? And that's really what it's about. That's really what I'm talking about, is putting ourselves out in front of more people. And that's what that listing did.
Mhm.
Right. That's what every listing does, is it puts us out in front of more people, because there's some people that are just going to contact a listing agent directly. Right. Even we've all had our buyer clients that do the same thing. Right. It's like, hey, you should have just call me, you know, but they don't always do that, and they don't always have representation, you know, and but what I'm talking about is just putting ourselves out there more and more every single day. And that's on social media. That's in our communities. That's in the grocery store. It's everywhere we go. We met some great friends in the ice cream aisle of Whole Foods that eventually bought a house with us.
Oh my gosh,
You
you have
know,
to tell us that story.
and you know, we just stayed. You know, they were great people that we had a good connection with, and we stayed friends with them. And they eventually bought a house. You know, but that wasn't the end game, and there was no expectation there. You know. And I think that's what we really gotta focus on. You know, there's no shortage of teachings about, you know, meeting new people and as many people as possible, and your network is your net worth. But like, we got to stop thinking about people as dollar signs, right? Those relationships are valuable because the relationships are valuable, right? And all we're creating is opportunities. And a lot of times what that looks like is that might look like connecting people to other people, or to situations, or to possibilities where you get nothing out of it other than the satisfaction of making a solid connection, introductions, right? And don't ask for anything in return, right? But it's going to come back. But you know, again, just to kind of wrap this around, creating opportunities, because people don't need to be talked into buying. Interest rates suck. They're terrible. I don't want to buy right now. I need to, but I don't want to. I don't know that I'm holding off. If I find the right property, I will. And then there's no telling how many people are in that same situation. So they don't need to be pushed. They don't need to be sold to at all. That's not what we are. We're not salespeople. Just want you to understand that. As far when it comes to goods, what we sell is our services. Right. And so when we begin to look at that, we begin to understand that we need to look for people who need our services, not trying to push our services on people who don't want to buy or sell a house right now. You know, and that's where this just pulling back, being comfortable, right, with the way things are, and creating those opportunities every day, because that's where you're really going to find the success. Is not just creating those opportunities, but in the more immediate, you're going to find more success in telling people the truth and saying, you know what, you got a great house right now. You have plenty of space. I know you want to move, but just sit tight, and I'm going to be here when you're ready. And they're going to call you first thing because of that. But you know, there are people out there who still need to move. There are people out there who are relocating for work. We see it all the time. There are people out there who still need to downsize. A lot of time downsizers are paying cash, you know, so they don't care about interest rates. All they need to do is sell their home first. All right. That's where you come in, and then you help them buy one. And so it's about focusing on those people, right, that still need to move. That's still the people that need your services, right? That's who you're selling to, not the ones that you're trying to talk into buying and selling a house when it's not the right time for them. You know, that's the thing that we need to focus on, is just creating those opportunities for tomorrow, setting that tone, right? And that's why people, you know, that's why we talk about in this industry, you know, the work that we do today, right, is the business that we have tomorrow. Right. That's exactly what it's talking about. But a lot of people miss that. You know, it's the turn and burn cold calls and all this stuff. And if you have success with that, awesome. I'm not negating that. I'm just talking about something different. But that's what we need to focus on, is those opportunities, and then finding the people who need to move today. Right. when it makes sense for them, or when they have this necessity, that you can help them and help make that happen now, right? And then you put yourself in position for the ones who maybe it's not time for them, but they want to, right? Because the time will be right eventually, or they'll get to a point where, hey, I don't need to wait anymore. Let's do this thing. And you're going to be in position then because you created that opportunity long ago.
That's great. Do you guys resonate with that? Yeah, I know there's been so many times where, people have reached out to us and, they're like, oh my gosh, you guys are so busy. And we see a lot of people struggling right now. What people don't realize is the amount of work that, people who are successful now are doing behind closed doors. That's kind of one of the biggest thing a lot of people talk about is doing the work that, no one else is willing to do. So when we relocated to the Sacramento area, we didn't know anybody out here, but we just for a whole year slowed down on our business because of the relocation, but we continued to do our videos. We continued to do our YouTube channel. And now, a year and a half into it, our channel's bringing us these buyers who don't care about the interest rates, who are needing to relocate here from different areas. So, I love what you're saying about creating opportunities and finding the people that have the need versus pushing yourself and pushing your services to people who may not even want it right now. So what opportunities do you guys see that you can lean towards and lean into that's going to get you to talking to more people who actually need your services? So let's open it up for discussion of the different things, questions you guys have for Tyler. Don't be shy. He won't bite. I mean, I don't know, Jackson.
Not all at once.
Yeah. Hey, Tyler, it's Jermaine. Thank you for being on the call today. Question for you. When you were first dealing with your land listing, how quick did you follow up to, get more business from that family? Did you separate it between 6 months? Was it a year? Yeah, just curious to see what that cadence looks like.
We just stayed in touch with them. We didn't really have any expectations. They had a house in Brentwood, which is an affluent, luxury, subdivision. They had no expectation to move. Like when we talked to them about it, they loved their house. We just stayed in touch. It wasn't like a follow-up kind of situation. We had a really good connection with them, and they invited us out to the River House, of course, to hang out. And it was tough to find time to get away, to do that. But we just made time, for that connection, and, got to be really good friends with them, which was the best thing. Was even better than helping them, with $6 million worth of properties, because they're still to this day, awesome friends of ours. But, we just went and were hospitable and hung out and connected and stayed in touch. We get dinner occasionally or whatever, like you would with normal friends. And then they reached out and was kind of interested in, looking at houses and exploring. And they're like, we're really not ready to buy it. We just kind of want to see this house. And I was like, you know what, let's just go. Let's just see what it looks like, and then, then started the search, then they started getting a little more serious about it. And then they're like, well, we need to talk to you about what it would look like to list our house and what we would get there. And that was kind of how it started, and then we knocked it out of the park for them. And then after that, it was kind of a no-brainer when they wanted to move, or like I said, they wanted to bring grandpa in closer, it was just a no-brainer. They just called us, every time after that.
I love that.
I think it's just showing people what the opportunity is too. Like they don't know what they don't know. They have curiosity, but at the same time, we all have to think about, when we all purchase a home or whatnot, it's a very emotional process to think about selling and then buying when you just don't know what it's going to look like. So to go out and show them houses without the expectation, I think it makes it a little bit more open for them to feel comfortable just saying, hey, let's go look at this house. And you showing up without, being that salesy person and just letting them know that you're there for them. I think that just creates more of an open opportunity to kind of discuss with them, like what would it look like.
And then
Yeah.
Tyler,
And go ahead. I'm sorry.
you can finish, and then I have a question for you.
Yeah. And I mean, honestly, just kind of spinning off of what Rose said, that's exactly what we did. But I mean, we'll show houses now, ideally, vacant homes or new construction so that we don't waste a seller's time. But before we have a pre-qual letter or anything like that, like that's not something that we 100% require. Now, if we get kind of that icky feeling, when we get a random call, to see a house or something like that, then we might, ask some more qualifying questions. But especially with there being two of us, we'll go together, for safety purposes, and we'll show someone a house before we know that they're fully qualified, because we want to meet them face to face. We want to have that connection, because we notice that if we meet face to face versus getting a lead in, and that called about a house or our listing or whatever, and especially our listing, if it's vacant, we'll go and show it to them. We don't have to have any kind of pre-qual or anything like that, because we want to make that connection. The likelihood that we could convert them into clients, even if they can't, buy that house eventually, they're gonna buy a house. But we just stick with them long term. But we make that meet them, make that connection, have that conversation. Here's why it's really important that you talk to a bank. Then we can recommend, our lender that we know is going to do a phenomenal job walking them through all the steps in the process if they've never bought a house before, or can look at all their financials for them to see what it would look like to make a transition or anything like that. We can have those important conversations in person after we've kind of established that connection, because the closer you are to someone, right, the easier it is to make that connection. Right. And it's easy to kind of disassociate and kind of withdraw from someone that's just on a phone call or just text. Somebody who texts me, listings, every week or every other week or whatever, that hasn't established that great, strong connection. It's easy to kind of walk away from them and just, happen to call the listing agent one day, and then next thing you know, they're putting in an offer and they didn't really expect all that to happen, and they're like, oh, I'm so sorry, I meant to tell you we just bought a house, and you get those texts. But yeah, I mean, we'll kind of, we'll take those meetings a lot of times, because nobody wants to meet, at the office or the coffee shop and have those preliminary, conversations. They're just browsing, or they're just seeing what this would look like, and that was kind of the situation with our folks, as well. We just happen to already know them, but it's like, what, let's just go check it out. There's no harm in that and looking, and then it kind of starts the conversation. And that way we were positioned as guides to say, hey, what are you looking for? What's missing from your house that you want, and let's walk through this and see if this actually makes sense for you to transition. Because if you do that, even if they decide not to, that's the people who are going to recommend you, right? Is those people right there, because you're giving them the information that they need to make the decision, right? And that's ultimately our goal, is because no matter how hard we try, people are not going to listen to what we tell them to do anyway. So like, we just take that posture of like, let's discuss and give you the information that you need for you to make the decision. Right. Instead of me telling you this is what you need to do, you just give them the data. Like, this is what this would look like, and blah, 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 blah.
So Tyler, we have decent amount of people on here, people that are newer agents, people that are seasoned agents, to pick your brain. What are you doing now, or what have you done in the past to get you this business, listings, buyers? Are you a door knocker? Are you a social media guy? Like, what has worked for you in the past? And maybe you have some tips that we could learn from.
I've always been a social media guy, and that doesn't look like paid leads, paid ads. What that looks like is personal branding. That looks like posting consistently. And basically what personal branding is it's taking who you are and it's putting that out there, right, on social media. Not a polished version, not a version of who you want it to be, right? I mean, we do definitely want to have kind of brand standards, right? But it also always wants to be authentic. We always want that to be authentic.
Are you getting
That's who
business
we
off
are.
of social media? And what
We are.
platforms?
So what we saw very, very, very early on, when we had no idea what we were doing in personal branding and in social media whatsoever, was we were just posting what we were doing, right? Because, and I even told Jackie this, I was like, we have to post what we're doing and show what we're doing, because if people don't see you doing something, they assume you're doing nothing, right? All the time. And that goes with our sellers, right? We have their listings, because when we started, things weren't bananas and we couldn't just list a property in the same weekend. We present them 20 offers and we're rock stars. Like, we actually, had time on market, and I was losing sleep every single day that the listing wasn't selling. And so it's like, our sellers need to see us active on social media, trying to sell their property and doing other things and networking. And it's like, hey, this is why, we're out here networking at this broker event, and if they ask about it, it's like, this is why we do this. All right. We meet other people. Like, we say, hey, check out our listing here, and the more likely that they are to like us and want to work with us, the more likely they are to bring a buyer our direction. It's like, hey, I know you weren't originally looking in this area, but I know the listing agent here and they're really great to work with. And I think this would be a great house and it meets, whatever you're looking for, whatever, but when people started seeing that and seeing us moving and seeing us doing things and showings and things like that, they're silent, but they see it, right? And they take it in. And then they would see it. And I began to notice what was happening, because they would see us in person and say, wow, y'all are really busy. And I'm like, I don't really feel like we're as busy as a lot of people, but like, yeah, I mean, we're steady, but it's like normal days, but we just show them what we're doing and where we're going and the things that we're doing. And then everybody sees that we're busy, and that reminds them, right? Because they don't want to be sold to, they don't want a call to action, right? They want to just know that you're doing this thing and that you're good at it and you're successful at it. And all we want is for them to remember us personally and remember that we help people buy and sell houses. Right. So they don't need a call to action to do that. And so that's one of the big things, is like getting on social media, not for direct leads, right? Most people are not going to see a video of a house and say, I want that house, and reach out to you and say, hey, I saw this house online, I want to buy it, write me up an offer, right? They're going to see you, they're going to get to know you, and they're going to say, hey, I've been following you on social media for the last 3 months. I don't know any other real estate agents in Nashville, but my family and I are thinking about a move. Do you have time for a call? We've seen that happen over and over and over again, because they just see what we're doing. It's not necessarily that we're always trying to sell them something or push something down their throat. It's just, this is us. This is our life, right? It's like your own little version of reality TV that people can get to know you through that, because you show personality on it, right? You don't watch these house shows on TV for just the houses and the numbers, right? You do, but if the people that were on the show were just lifeless and had no personality, you wouldn't continue to watch, right? That's why Chip and Joe blew up. It wasn't because they were flipping houses, because people have been doing that for forever and it's been on TV for forever, but it was because they were likable, right? They liked them and they wanted to see them flip houses. It wasn't just the houses themselves. Right. And it's the exact same way, with what we do as real estate agents. Real estate agents, there's so many of us out there. Right. And everyone kind of knows about what that looks like, but they want to see us doing it if we bring our personality to it. Right. And we have to show that personality in order for them to actually see that, instead of hiding behind the camera. And so it's just that consistency. And that's definitely another long-term play. But we started seeing that really pick up momentum. Where we really started seeing it, I'll be candid with everyone, we really started seeing it our second year in business. We hosted like almost 40 open houses or something crazy like that year, for other agents. Not even really, very few were our own listings. We're working with quite a few buyers. We still did a few listings, but it was in like the little tiny hometown where I grew up, and nobody came to open houses there. So like in Nashville and the larger areas that we work a lot in now, we were volunteering to host open houses for other agents. And so we might host an open house for one agent on Saturday at one house, and we might host a totally different open house at another, like a separate house for a different agent on Sunday. And we would post about it. We would post that we were hosting the open house. We would shout out the listing agent. You know, we were being totally transparent with all that, but nobody reads it, right? Nobody reads the captions. They just see it and saw us, you know, there on our stories or whatever, you know, hosting the open house, and they just assumed that it was our listing, even though we never tried to make it seem like it was. And then we started, you know, we'd say, hey, it seems like y'all have been really busy. I've been thinking about selling my house. We saw that over and over and over and over and over again, and really started picking up steam, you know, there. But again, you know, that's definitely a long-term play, but you know, that was my strategy when we started our business. We, you know, Jackie and I both still have full-time jobs. So we had the time available, right, to build slow, right, so that we could build something larger, you know, in the end.
So was this platform Instagram?
Mostly Instagram. Facebook was also, you know, early on, especially Facebook was also really big. But you know, Instagram's been huge as well. I mean, we have a property under contract right now, just over $3 million, that closes hopefully the end of this month if there's no delays. And it was a direct Instagram lead. They literally, and it was actually a long time ago. They called us on Black Friday. We were, Jackie and I were hanging out in the office doing a little online shopping, and I get a call and I'm like, hey, I don't know who this is. I pick it up and they're like, hey, Tyler, this is so-and-so. You know, we've been following you on social media for quite some time. And we've been thinking about moving, you know, to Franklin, which is a nice suburb of Nashville. And just want to talk to you about it. Do you have some time today? I'm sorry to call you on Black Friday, but it's just really been on our mind and just thought I'd give you a call. And I'm like, absolutely, let's do this. This will pay my online shopping tab right here.
Yeah, like I could get that new fridge I wanted.
Yeah.
Nice.
But
So how I know a lot of people on this mastermind do social media, but I do also know there's a few that are half in, half out. They don't know how often to post, personal versus business. I mean, those are a lot of the questions that I've had people ask me. And, you know, I watch you guys all the time. And, you know, Jackie, feel free to chime in as well. But I see you guys posting your workouts and just like out having fun. And, you know, one thing I do have to say is Jackie's laugh is one that like totally sticks out. So
yeah.
you know, and so what is like the cadence that you guys do, or you know, in case anybody's wondering how much much business?
Yeah, so we actually hired in some additional help on that. We do it all on our own now. Which I will say we've always done our own posting, our own videos, our own, like, I would not recommend hiring that out, because you don't want, unless you're at the point where you can pay someone to follow along with you, you need to be in all this content. All right. So you need to be the one. It needs to be, if you're writing a longer caption, it needs to be in your voice. You need to be writing that yourself, because it needs to come from you. It needs to be your personal brand. People need to get to know you through that. Right. So you need to be in all this stuff. So you can't really hire that out. But we did hire out some additional consulting. And so Ryan Serhant lent to us one of his brand strategists. And worked with us to kind of hone in a little bit on that. And she was awesome. She's actually did the brand strategy and publicity work for Damon John for his last book from Shark Tank. So we did get some high-powered help with that. But you know, our strategy is 1/3 business, 1/3 needs to be personal, and 1/3 needs to be your right, part of who you are. But we kind of mix a lot of the and up and really just kind of make that part of who we are. We could lean into the fitness stuff, but we don't really make a lot of posts about that. We just put it in our stories each day. And stories is a great place to start, right? If you don't know where to really start on social media, start with stories, because they disappear in 24 hours. It doesn't matter if you embarrass yourself. It doesn't matter if you don't like how it looks or sounds or whatever. It's gone in 24 hours. How freeing is that? Like, you could literally be a complete idiot, and after 24 hours, nobody's going to see it. And it just gives you the freedom to just jump in and just try it. Practice, right? Everything is practice. Practice everything every day. And that's really with anything that we do. Everything that we do in our business should be looked at as practice, right? And what I mean by that is it's a refining process. Like, everything is to be observed as, how can we do this better? Even though it's active practice, right? We learn from that. And so look at your stories in that way specifically. If you're not comfortable talking on camera, then just talk on camera. Find a way to be consistent about that. This is what I got going on today, or this is what I did today, or tell a story, or something like that, and work on being brief and to the point, and work on your communication skills through that. But don't beat yourself up. I would challenge you to do it in one take.
Yeah.
On your story.
That's
On your
actually,
story, because you do want your best content right in your feed, but on your story, try to talk about something in one take and just be okay with it. Like, let it go, just send it.
that's
So
what I
stutter
always
a little
tell
bit.
him too. Like, that's fine. Just do the first take, because if you mess up, it's okay. Like, you have to be like normal people. If you're perfect, people might be scared to talk to you because you're too perfect.
Yeah, and I'll tell you guys, I don't know how much time we have. I'll tell you a little bit of info about that. In the public speaking world, right? Authenticity,
By the way.
authenticity has become such an issue at hand, right? With social media. And I think TikTok helped with this, because the best performing TikToks, especially early on, were just candid, straight out of the camera, no editing or minimal editing or in-app editing. So people want authenticity. So some of the best speakers have actually worked really, really hard to not say and not say the little nervous ticks. And now they're strategically placing them back into their speeches to seem more authentic, right? And less polished.
So then
How
I don't feel bad
that?
because I say like and so 100 times in my videos.
Like
So
is my bad one. Yeah, I have
back
to
when
watch that.
back when TikTok was more of a dancing platform, our daughter was in her room. I was like, what is she doing? She was always doing these little dances. And then I heard it's for this thing called TikTok. Well, anyways, our son Elijah is 5 now. I think he was like
He was,
2
like,
back
not
then.
even 2.
He jumps in the video and just starts copying his sister. So that video of him interrupting Allison, our oldest daughter, ended up, I don't know if it's viral, but it got thousands and thousands of views because it was so funny to see our little 2-year-old get in. So
I'll
That's
show you guys.
awesome.
It was
Yeah.
cute. So we have a few more minutes left, and I want to open up questions, you guys. This is a great opportunity to like jump in, ask questions, social media, any other type of questions that you guys have, what kind of cookies they give to their clients. Come on, let's open it up. Don't be shy.
Yeah, so thanks again for all of your plethora of knowledge, Tyler. My name's George. I was curious, since you and your wife are heavily utilizing social media and that's where you're getting your leads, what systems are you implementing? Like, I keep hearing a lot of folks saying that they're implementing ManyChats. So I'm curious if you're using ManyChats or if there's any other systems that you're utilizing to make sure that you're filtering out like people that are maybe just hitting you up for questions and actually making sure that you're converting the leads that are coming through.
No, we're not. George, thank you so much for your question. We're not really doing anything like that. It's just, We're just having conversations, making those connections, just like I talked about, think about it as like running, like I'd said, running into someone at the supermarket. That's exactly what you're doing, except you're able to do that in a larger format, and you're able to do that with more people. It's about those connections. It's not necessarily qualifying leads, or turning them into leads. You should be thinking more along the lines of, and I know there was, old teachings, right? And I say old, it was, just a few years ago, because things change so rapidly, about like Facebook leads and, lead generation on social media. Don't think of what I'm talking about in social media strategy. Don't think of it as lead generation. Think of it as more like a billboard, right? Because you're not converting leads from a billboard. You're being liked, known, and trusted, right? That's the goal. Is you want people to like you, know you, and trust you, right? Because if you think about the people who have used you as a real estate agent, it's not because you were in position. It wasn't because you were good at converting necessarily. It was because you helped them to like you, to know you, and to trust you, right? And anybody who uses a real estate agent, they use an agent that they like, know, and trust, or they use someone that is recommended to them because someone that they trust likes, knows, and trusts that real estate agent, right? And so that is the goal in social media. That's why I say it's more of a long-term play, is because you're not necessarily getting this huge steady lead flow, right? You're tapping into another, it's almost like another touch point every time that you post, right? If you think of touches, or if you're an agent that is into follow up and call those like touches, and have your drip campaigns and things like that, those are incredible. But think about social media in that way as well, right? You're not necessarily trying to get someone to respond to every time that you send a newsletter or a listing. You're just staying on top of mind, right? It's another touch point. So think about social media more so as like a billboard or a touch point, right? About and you're gaining that, and that's why you want them to see your personality on there, is because you want to be liked, known, and trusted, right? That's the goal, is for as many people as possible to like, know, and trust you. And that is the easiest way to get us in front of the biggest audience, right? Is social media, right? And that's exactly what it is it's building that audience. And social media for business is now more so about building an audience, more so than it is about generating leads, because we're not selling, widgets or products or something like that people can click through, and we have all these click-through rates, right? We can learn so much from other businesses, but I think that's one area where we're kind of missing the mark, is like, we can't do social media the same way that a company that sells products does, because it's not exactly as traceable, because it's all relationship based, and it's a huge decision, right? I don't need to take nearly as long to decide to buy something that costs $50 as it does to commit to something that's going to require me to fill out all these applications. It's going to take 30 to 45 days to close, and then I'm committed to a monthly payment for 30 years, right? So there's a lot of emotional factors that go into that decision making, and that's why you want to be liked, known, and trusted. You want to have that relationship with them, rather than just trying to turn and burn, getting the lead flow coming through there. Now, a good follow-up system, is great when people do reach out and they do engage, like asking about, hey, I might be potentially looking to buy in the next 6 months, right? Then you want to kind of plug them into normal CRM. But as far as just social media goes, like, let's begin thinking about that as more of like a billboard, right? More of touch points every time that we make a post, every time that we, put a story up or anything like that. That is another touch point where someone sees us and knows what we're doing, gets to know us more, or sees the type of business that we're doing. That was a very good question, though, George. I appreciate that. Does that help?
Yeah, no, it absolutely does. I appreciate it. Thank you.
So I could ask you 100 questions, but I know we have a few time for maybe one or two more quick ones. So I'll let someone else speak. But man, this is good stuff, Tyler.
Awesome. What do we got? What do we got? No questions?
Oh, they'll come. I know people got questions.
They ask us all the time. I bring you guys someone, you don't ask.
I have a question for Tyler.
Navi, let's bring it. Come on.
So definitely loved everything that you shared, how you really got a lot of your success from social media. For you and your team personally, what type of videos do you see that you gained the most traction or success with?
Oh, that is a good question. I struggle with that because I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't see a lot of strong consistency recently. I guess with the algorithms or whatever, I might have a video of me doing a walkthrough tour or something like that, or even something very quick that I think is going to capture people's attention, and it looks really good and looks polished, and I think this thing's about to blow up, and then it gets nothing. And then or like I'll post a video of me like talking or sharing something, kind of in almost like in this format right here, but maybe like a 30 to 60-second clip, and I thought, man, that's good stuff, like that's going to take off. And then I'll tell some stupid story and it just blows up, and I'm like, this is ridiculous. But I've had good feedback from like talking head type videos, like mostly telling stories, you know interesting stories rather than like sharing like real estate how-tos or whatever. You got to kind of consider your audience a little bit as far as that goes. But like everybody loves a good like crazy real estate story, the ones that you tell your friends, like that's what everybody else wants to hear too. So like those do perform pretty well. Sometimes the walkthrough tours, like the short form walkthrough tours where maybe it's not heavy talking, or if I am talking, I'm like pointing at stuff in the video showing that. Those seem to perform pretty well. It seems like more recently, like the short clip, fast change, kind of push in, if y'all know what I'm talking about, like house tour type videos don't seem to be performing as well recently for me anyway. I don't know if anybody's noticed that. I don't know if it's oversaturated or what. But the difficult thing is, as far as the house tours go, one thing I've noticed is you really need to be walking and moving. You never want to be static and talking. All right, that's the first thing people are going to scroll past. If you're going to be like talking on there, and by all means do like talk on there, but be walking through the house and talking, right, rather than standing in front of it stationary and talking. Those seem to be performing a little bit better. Also, I'll call them the Gen Z tours, where it's like the voiceover, right, where you're walking through and talking and you do the voiceover and you're kind of a calm voice. I don't know why that's a Gen Z thing, but I've heard that it is, and those seem to do pretty well recently. But I guess the moral of that story is like, don't be afraid to try stuff, like as long as it's you, right? As long as it's your personality, don't be afraid to try different styles. Just make sure you're in the video and make sure that you're being you, right? That's the biggest thing. And then, just try different things. If you see somebody else's style of video, don't be afraid to be inspired by it. Just let yourself, and your style show in the middle of that.
I mean, ours is always changing. I mean, our Instagram, our YouTube channel is just constantly changing because one thing will work at one point in our business and then another will change. And so we'll try things all the time. Anything else, guys?
Oh, I just wanted to add, for those of you guys just getting into social, don't get stuck on the number of followers. And I tell you this because, I'll share that it is our first year. So we're learning every day, trying different things, and consistency is key. But the one reel that actually landed us a buy and sell, it only got 120 views, but it took one client to resonate with that exact story and that exact reel to find themselves, hey, I would like to work with that family. Like my husband Jerry and I are a husband and wife team as well, and it just took that one reel of me in the rain. I don't know why I was in the rain, but I was looking for a home site for a new construction build. But it was like, why am I doing this? I was sitting there like soaked, and I was like, you know what? This is what we actually do. So being vulnerable and say, hey, I'm willing to do what it takes to get this client their home site. So I was dripping wet, and I posted on my story, made it a reel. And it was because of that, she actually sent that exact reel and said, I want to hire you.
Oh,
So
wow.
that was a buy and sell. So just know that, like, it's not about the amount of followers, but it's the genuine connection of you really showing what you're doing. And it's going to come through with your, with your brand. And how he says, like what Tyler said, is your billboard. So we see it as like, it's a live creative journal. That's how we view social media. It's not necessarily a lead gen, which I agree. It's just, how do you tell your story creatively without not trying to be somebody else, right? Because content is everything. Because how you wake up every day, that's still content, right? So they want to see how that relates to them, and it just takes one. So don't worry about the views, you guys, because it just takes one.
Oh, come on, Jermaine, that fires me up.
Yeah, I see Taylor. Hey, Taylor, how's it going? And she's newer in real estate, and her Instagram is fire right now for just starting, but she always has her kids in there. And she might do a post of her going to the park with her kids, and it's might have some real estate related stuff. And it's just, people love that, being yourself, and see that you're out there working and you're doing it as a mom. People are going to respect that, and you're going to get business from that. So everybody on here, we see everybody. I mean, we're like one big real estate, social media, whatever you want to call it, family. And it's really cool to have everybody on here and to learn from everybody. And Tyler, thank you so much, man. And anytime we ask you for something, there's no hesitant. You always make time for us. We really appreciate you.
Absolutely. I'm honored. I'm honored to be on today, and I appreciate everyone jumping on. I did drop my Instagram handle link in the chat. Yeah, I mean, it's been amazing. Yeah, thanks so much for the opportunity.
Yeah, thank you. All right, so we are a little bit past 11, so thank you guys all for joining. We won't have speakers for the next couple weeks, but we are going to be collaborating, talking about different things that work, don't work. Hopefully you guys are getting a lot of value from these masterminds.
One quick question, Tyler, if anybody wants to reach out to you, DM you for any more questions,
He put his Instagram.
Like if they want to get more personal with you, maybe send you a DM like, hey, Tyler, can I pick your brain? Is that cool?
Yeah, cool. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Instagram probably be the best place for that. I dropped the link there, but don't hesitate, to reach out. Would love to continue the conversation.
Thanks,
awesome.
Guys.
All right, guys. Thank you, everyone. Have a great week.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.